For the audience, I think I would like to say and just emphasize the fact that we have the prime producers of academic work, scholarly work based on the World Value Survey. Of course, not only the founding father of the project, but some of the most prolific users of PIPA, like Chris, Enrique himself in Brazil, and of course Bob Worcester, that you didn't mention it, but you have conducted the survey in the Caribbean, particularly in where is it? So there is a whole theoretical underline, each one of them with their own view, with their own particular way of seeing things. But I will react to one and each of them very, very briefly. In your book, Cultural Evolution, Rod, you talk about these conformist pressures that I didn't see before in your early work, that Ron has tracked the world change in values and shifting. He has described this very nicely with the long-term shift to progressive values, progressive liberal values that suddenly seems to come to an end, and then having a turning point in something that is generally called cultural backlash. In some areas, as Brazil may be an exception, Mexico perhaps as well. I know that country well. I'm wondering if these conformist pressures that are an additional component into the theory of value change, in which non-post-materialist publics then became more accepting of post-materialist policies. Now we may look at the opposite phenomenon also, as publics in the world, especially in the developed world, are turning back to some authoritarian attitudes and values, whether post-materialist publics might be also, let's say, in quotation mark, victims of these conformist pressures, because I say victims because obviously it will clash with the emancipated values that I will provide there. But I think that this is important because in your most recent book about cultural evolution, you don't leave the explanation of cultural change only to generational replacement, but to these conformist pressures. And this takes me, I will do it very quickly, you know, but it's going to be one question for each and a comment. It will take us to something that people, everyone has made so many points, so it's hard to pick, but I will take people 2 points that you made. One of them, the fact that this growing literature that it's fashionable on the death of democracy or democracy's dying, is really not a set of theories, but a set of words. I think that was a fantastic phrase, and I think that should be tweeted in the WAPOR panel. But then, what implications does that have on survey research? You're calling us to think about other ways to ask questions, to try to measure this increasing authoritarian legitimacy, not anymore how democracy has been taking roots among the publics, which is the question probably for the last 3 or 4 generations, or 5 since I remember, but suddenly how these autocrats are, legitimizing them. Of course, you make a lot of points. One of them I was particularly interested because I think it has to do with the short-term or long-term optic which we apply to this autocratic shift. How successful are they going to be in terms of policy outcomes? How is the economy going to work? Are they going to solve some of the problems that these populists appeals at the ballots and during election campaigns are drawing so much support, but at the moment of actually generating policy outcomes, they're going to face a very, very strong problem. So I don't know if we're going to look at the very short-term backlash to authoritarianism until they do not perform well, or this is really something long-term. And the reason why I'm saying it has less to do with our possibility to predict economies, but with our possibility to pose and design questions that maybe are just going to capture transitional effects. For example, going back to the conformist pressures, is this something transitional? Is it possible that post-materialists express authoritarian values because this is becoming fashionable? Or is really a deep polarization in terms of values? So these autocrats are using the other explanation you gave, which I was particularly interested, is identity. Because many of the politicians, and this is happening in Mexico, are polarizing society based on identity categories that people do not feel that they belong to, but that they create for them. These are assigned categories, like Kwame Appiah would say in his recent book about identity. We are not identifying with those categories, but people are looking at us, like the neoliberals, for example, or the corrupts, or the conservatives, and so on. So I think one of the big challenges that you are also posing, without, I don't think you mentioned that directly, but it sounded to me like that we don't have many questions on identity, or is there, when I think about Appiah, there's a wonderful story, there's a wonderful theory or expectation. He doesn't use survey research. I mean, we don't know exactly how to take the problems of identity and the phenomena of identity that we're looking at. And that takes me to Chris, when he mentions that this literature puts a little weight on culture, this new literature on how democracies are dying. It has a lot to do with identity too. I agree with you that there's a normative basis of democracy. This is one of the things I took notes of your presentation. And I think that in this authoritarian backlash, if I can use the word directly, the phrase, there is also a lot of reaction and rejection to Western ideas. Like if emancipated values were a Western invention, and now you're not just reacting to freedom of choice or certain egalitarian principles, but to Europe, or more specifically to the United States. So I was wondering if you could perhaps say something about that.